and junior and senior adult time. Yeah. I'll hide behind it. Good morning. How many times have you gone? It doesn't have to be the city, but you go someplace. Annabelle, hi. Have you been to the city and let's say seen a great big show, let's say Broadway show, or have you seen? How many have been to Proctor's? Okay, seen Proctor's, pretty fancy inside, right? And there's a great church that was over in Paris called Notre Dame, monstrous medieval church. A lot of it burnt, but they're rebuilding it back up. People go in there and they go inside these big churches and they go, their mouth always open, going, oh, wow. Sistine Chapel has paintings. It took years. They big scaffolding, and he laid on his back and he sat there and painted beautiful pictures. So when people come in, they just look and look. And that's what Jesus was doing with his disciples. They had to go to Jerusalem. Now, Jesus had things to do, places to go, and people's feathers to ruffle a little bit, but they had to go to the temple. Now, that temple was rebuilt from the old days. And King Herod, you probably would hear of his name somewhere along the line. He wanted to make a big splash. So it took him 46 years to fix up this temple and expand it. There was gold panels on the sides of the building. So when the sun rose, it was just super bright. It was the highest point, and it was just magnificent. It's the kind of things that the tourists like to come and see. And the disciples were fishermen from way up north, so they didn't get to see this that much. And so they're all in there, and Jesus is just leading them around like he owns the place. And so they're just gawking and looking at everything, and they said, wow, look at all these designs and all this stuff, and the monstrous stones that are built. And Jesus had things to do and teach them, and he had to snap them out of it. So he said, you see all these buildings? Not one stone is going to be laid on top of another. It's all going to be toppled down, just like if you had made a great big building out of building blocks, and then your kid, brother, or sister comes in and knocks them all down, just like that, and the fight's on. You never did that, right? Well, I came from a big family. Whenever we had the building blocks, there was always somebody who was going to knock it over. And Jesus was telling them, all this is going to tumble down. And then they became scared, and they're going to go, when is this going to happen? And Jesus is saying, never mind when it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and you need to be prepared for it. Not to run and hide, but to be helpful to other people. Jesus wanted to change their minds of what they do. Instead of run away going, ooh, like the Tasmanian devil going, ooh, he wanted them to be cool, calm, and collective, kind of like a fireman doing a fire. Everybody gets out and runs, and they go towards the fire, and they have a plan to fix it. Jesus is saying, when things are really tough, you have to have a plan, and you have to be helpful to people, because that's what I do. All the sightseeing that Jesus thought that these people would do, he was looking at this little old lady putting just a few coins in her box, in the giving box, even though other people were making big shows of putting big bags of money in there. And he was showing the disciples how different people were praying. These are the things that Jesus wanted them to focus on. He said, even when things look really bad, there's going to be opportunities to do your part. And that's what's special, because he doesn't want you to be afraid. He wants you to be prepared. And that's the message in a scary time. And you know what? From what I'm seeing, we live a long time, 2,000 plus years from then. And there's been a lot of scary times since then. And there's probably going to be some that you'll see that even I won't be able to see. But you know what? of all our ancestors that knew Jesus in their heart, they with they grew with through these hard times and they passed them on to us. And that's now it's our job to be faithful and not be all Tasmanian devil-like and go out into the world and not be too afraid. Not we can be afraid, just don't go panicky and crazy. Okay? Because that's would be faithful to Jesus. And a teddy bear is always helpful in stressful times. Precious Jesus, we thank you that you were present way back then with the disciples, and throughout all the tough times of our history, you have been with us in our hearts. We ask that you continue to be in our hearts today. And so no matter what scary things happen to us, we know that you will be there and our hearts can hold you tight, just like the teddy bear. Amen.